Carl Jung, the father of analytical psychology, believed that much of human behavior is shaped by forces hidden deep in the unconscious. He once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Nowhere is this more relevant than in our relationships. Sometimes the people closest to us, friends, coworkers, even family, harbor negative feelings they don't openly express. Outwardly, they may smile, laugh, and play their role in the relationship. But beneath the surface, there may be jealousy, resentment, or even hatred. Because these feelings are often unconscious, the person may not even fully realize them. Instead, their hostility leaks out in subtle, indirect ways. That's why it can be so difficult to know if someone close to you secretly hates you. They won't admit it outright, but they'll reveal it through tone, behavior, and the energy they bring into your life. This is where Jung's psychology gives us powerful insight. His ideas of the shadow, persona, and projection help us recognize when unconscious emotions are shaping a relationship. In this video, we'll explore 10 key signs that someone close to you may secretly dislike or even hate you. Each sign draws from Jung's framework, showing how unconscious hostility sneaks past the social mask people wear. These signs aren't always dramatic. In fact, they're often subtle, disguised as jokes, casual comments, or small behaviors. But if you learn to spot them, you'll begin to see the truth beneath the mask. It's important to note, recognizing these signs doesn't mean you should immediately end a relationship. People act out of insecurity, projection, or unresolved pain, not always conscious malice. But awareness is power. Once you see the pattern, you can choose how to respond, whether with compassion, clear boundaries, or distance. So, let's dive in. Here are 10 psychological signs, based on Carl Jung's insights, that someone close to you may secretly hate you. Sign 1. Shadow projection. One of Jung's most famous concepts is the shadow. The shadow represents the parts of ourselves we deny or repress, qualities we don't want to admit we have. But what we hide doesn't disappear. It shows up through projection. We attribute our unwanted traits to others. If someone close to you secretly hates you, projection often plays a central role. Instead of admitting their flaws, they pin them on you. For example, a friend who is irresponsible with money may constantly accuse you of being careless. Or someone insecure about their intelligence might call you dumb in subtle ways. These accusations often feel exaggerated or out of sync with reality. What's really happening? They see their shadow in you. By blaming you, they avoid facing uncomfortable truths about themselves. Jung warned that until we face our shadow, we will meet it outside of us in the form of criticism, blame, and hostility from others. To spot this sign, pay attention to repeated accusations that don't align with how others see you or how you know yourself to be. If someone persistently insists you're selfish, lazy, or arrogant, but you don't hear this from anyone else, projection may be at work. Recognizing this frees you from carrying their burden. You see their hostility as a reflection of their unresolved inner conflict, not your identity. That clarity gives you the power to set boundaries and protect your peace. Sign 2. Passive-aggressive behavior. Hatred rarely comes out directly. More often, it leaks through passive aggression, sarcasm, subtle sabotage, or jokes that cut deep. Jung explained that when strong emotions are repressed, they don't vanish. They find disguised outlets. A classic example is the backhanded compliment. A friend might say, "Wow, I wish I had time to care about my appearance like you do," making it sound flattering but really belittling you. Or a colleague might accidentally make mistakes that set back your work. They'll insist it was unintentional, but it keeps happening. Passive aggression reveals a split between the persona, the mask of politeness, and the shadow, which carries hostility. The mask smiles, but the shadow sneaks out in actions that undermine you. How do you recognize it? Look for patterns. Everyone makes mistakes or jokes occasionally. But when these small cuts are consistent, and always at your expense, they reveal something deeper. Notice how you feel after interactions. If you leave drained, second-guessing, or diminished, you've likely encountered hidden hostility. Jung would remind us that these behaviors are not truly about us. They are about the other person's inability to face their shadow. Recognizing this helps you stop doubting yourself and instead see their actions for what they are: hostility in disguise. Sign 3. Withholding support. When someone secretly hates you, they often refuse to support you, even in small ways. Jung described how jealousy and resentment can live in the unconscious, shaping behavior indirectly. This shows up when someone close to you consistently avoids celebrating your wins. Perhaps you share exciting news, a promotion, an achievement, a personal milestone. Instead of showing happiness, they respond with indifference or quickly change the subject. At times, they might even minimize your success with comments like, "It's not a big deal," or "Anyone could have done that." This withholding of support often comes from envy. Jung believed that envy is a shadow trait, something people rarely admit but often project outward. When your growth threatens their self-image, they feel discomfort. Instead of congratulating you, they retreat, downplay, or dismiss your progress. To notice this sign, reflect on how often they cheer for you. True friends and allies want you to succeed. If someone consistently fails to show joy for your wins, or seems almost annoyed by them, it signals an unconscious hostility. The key takeaway: support is a marker of closeness. If it's absent, resentment may be quietly present. Sign 4, subtle undermining. Another clear sign is when someone subtly undermines you. This can look like spreading small doubts about you to others, correcting you unnecessarily, or adding small remarks that chip away at your confidence. Jung would say this behavior comes from the shadow's envy. Instead of attacking openly, the person undermines you in socially acceptable ways. For instance, they might say in a group, "Oh, don't take them too seriously. They're always exaggerating," planting seeds of doubt about your credibility. What makes this dangerous is its subtlety. Each individual comment may seem harmless, but together they form a pattern of quiet sabotage. This creates an atmosphere where others slowly begin questioning you, even if you've done nothing wrong. To spot this, watch for consistency. If someone frequently adds negative spins to your words or achievements, they may be unconsciously trying to lower your status. Understanding this through Jung's lens helps you avoid internalizing their undermining. Their hostility reflects their inner conflict, not your worth. Once you see the pattern, you can stop absorbing their negativity and start protecting your self-image. Recognizing undermining is the first step toward safeguarding your confidence. Sign 5, enjoying your failures. Jung spoke of the shadow's secret delight in others' misfortunes. When someone close secretly hates you, they may show subtle joy when you fail. Notice if they appear unusually interested in your setbacks, asking many questions but offering little comfort. They might even say, "I knew that would happen," or laugh off your struggles. Their energy feels less like concern and more like satisfaction. This reaction comes from envy and insecurity. Your success threatens their self-image, while your failures reassure them. By watching you stumble, they feel momentarily superior. Jung explained that unacknowledged envy seeks release, often through this quiet enjoyment of another's pain. How do you recognize it? Pay attention to tone. Do they seem lighter when you struggle and quieter when you succeed? Do they amplify your mistakes yet minimize your wins? These are clues of hidden resentment. True allies lift you when you fall and celebrate your growth. If someone leans in when you hurt, but pulls away when you shine, their support is false. Recognizing this distinction allows you to choose wisely whom you share vulnerabilities with, protecting your energy from those who feed on your setbacks. Sign 6, lack of genuine connection. People who harbor secret hatred often maintain a surface-level persona around you but avoid deeper connection. Jung noted that the persona is the mask we wear to function socially. When dislike simmers underneath, the mask stays on, and intimacy never develops. This might look like conversations that remain shallow, avoidance of eye contact, or disinterest in your personal life. Even when present, they feel emotionally distant, as though their body is there but their mind is elsewhere. The absence of vulnerability signals distrust or resentment. When someone cannot open up or share their authentic self with you, it may mean they don't feel safe or don't want closeness at all. They invest just enough energy to keep appearances, but they never cross into real intimacy. To notice this sign, reflect on the depth of your exchanges. Do they engage in meaningful conversation, or do they keep things polite and superficial? Over time, the lack of warmth and connection becomes obvious. Jung would say that where the persona dominates, the authentic self is hidden. Recognizing this truth helps you avoid wasting energy on relationships that drain instead of nurture. Genuine closeness cannot survive behind a mask. Sign 7, mirroring negativity. One of the clearest Jungian signs of hidden hatred is mirroring negativity. Carl Jung described projection as an unconscious process where people disown traits they dislike in themselves and see them in others instead. When someone secretly dislikes you, they often project their shadow qualities onto you. accusing you of attitudes or flaws that actually belong to them. For instance, a person who constantly takes without giving may accuse you of being selfish. Someone insecure about their intelligence may mock you as dumb or clueless. A competitive friend may accuse you of arrogance while quietly comparing themselves to you. These accusations feel strangely out of place, as though they describe someone else entirely. That someone else is, in truth, themselves. Projection shields the ego. By placing the blame on you, they avoid facing their own uncomfortable truths. Jung warned that until people acknowledge their shadow, they will repeatedly encounter it in the outside world, often in the form of misplaced hostility. To recognize this, pay attention to repeated criticisms that don't align with how others see you. If their judgments feel exaggerated or disconnected from your actual behavior, you are likely dealing with projection. The challenge is that empathetic people often internalize these false labels. Doubt creeps in, and you may begin to wonder if their accusations are valid. Jung's insight frees you from this trap. These judgments are not reflections of your identity, but of theirs. By recognizing projection, you stop carrying the weight of their negativity. Instead, you see it as evidence of unresolved inner conflict. This awareness strengthens your boundaries and helps you separate truth from distortion, allowing you to protect your peace and maintain a stronger sense of self. Sign 8. Inconsistent behavior. Another powerful sign of hidden resentment is inconsistent behavior. Jung believed the conflict between the persona, the social mask we wear, and the shadow, the hidden, repressed self, often creates tension that leaks out in unpredictable ways. When someone secretly dislikes you, they may struggle to maintain their mask of friendliness. As a result, their attitude toward you shifts back and forth, leaving you confused. One day they may seem warm, attentive, and supportive. The next, they are distant, dismissive, or even cold. You may notice this inconsistency especially when circumstances change. For example, they may act friendly when you are struggling, but withdraw or become critical when you succeed. These sudden shifts aren't random. They reveal the inner conflict between their conscious desire to appear kind and their unconscious resentment. This hot and cold dynamic is emotionally draining because it creates uncertainty. You never quite know where you stand with them, and that unpredictability keeps you on edge. Over time, you may start blaming yourself, wondering if you did something wrong to trigger the change. Jung would argue that this inconsistency is not about you, but about the other person's unresolved inner battle. Their persona tries to maintain harmony, but their shadow leaks hostility. The result is a fractured, unreliable connection. To recognize this sign, observe patterns. Does their treatment of you change depending on your success, vulnerability, or mood? Do they give you affection one moment but undermine you the next? That split is a clear marker of hidden dislike. Awareness gives you clarity. Instead of internalizing their unpredictable behavior, you can recognize it as a symptom of their shadow. That recognition helps you set healthy boundaries and avoid getting entangled in their emotional turbulence. Sign 9. Excessive comparison. A subtle yet telling sign of hidden dislike is excessive comparison. Jung wrote about envy as a shadow-driven emotion, something people often deny in themselves but express indirectly. When someone secretly hates you, your success threatens their self-image, and comparison becomes their way of coping with that discomfort. This shows up when they constantly measure themselves against you. Instead of celebrating your achievements, they immediately point to their own. For example, you might share news of a promotion, and they respond with, "That's great, but when I got mine, it was harder." Or if you achieve something new, they'll remark, "You're lucky." Not everyone gets chances like that. These comparisons may sound casual, but they reveal an unconscious need to downplay your growth. Jung would describe this as the shadow's envy. Deep down, they feel inadequate. But instead of admitting vulnerability, they project competitiveness. By framing your success as smaller or easier, they protect their ego from feelings of inferiority. The pattern becomes clear over time. True friends celebrate you without turning it into a competition. But if someone consistently responds to your wins with comparisons, dismissals, or one-upmanship, it signals deeper resentment. Comparison also drains relationships. It shifts the energy from mutual support to rivalry. Instead of building connection, the person uses your progress as a mirror for their own insecurities. Recognizing this sign allows you to step back. Their constant comparisons say less about your achievements and more about their unresolved shadow. By seeing the dynamic clearly, You protect your joy from being diminished by their envy. Jung reminds us, envy unacknowledged becomes hostility disguised as competition. Awareness frees you to celebrate yourself without guilt. Sign 10, emotional drain. Perhaps the clearest Jungian sign of hidden resentment is the emotional drain you feel after interacting with someone. Jung taught that relationships are exchanges of psychic energy. When someone secretly harbors hostility, even unconsciously, that energy seeps through in subtle ways, leaving you exhausted, anxious, or diminished. Pay attention to how you feel after spending time with them. Do you consistently leave their presence feeling lighter, supported and encouraged, or heavier, unsettled and second-guessing yourself? If it's the latter, your unconscious may be picking up on cues that your conscious mind struggles to name. Tone, body language, micro-expressions, and subtle shifts in energy often betray feelings the other person works hard to hide. For example, they may not openly insult you, but conversations feel one-sided, dismissive, or quietly critical. You share something personal, and they respond with indifference, sarcasm, or subtle negativity. Over time, this creates a draining pattern. It's not just what they say, it's the atmosphere they carry. Jung would argue that your unconscious detects the tension between their persona and shadow. Outwardly, they may smile, but inwardly, their resentment creates friction you can feel. That psychic tension wears you down, even if you can't always explain why. The key is to trust your body's signals. Emotional exhaustion is rarely accidental. It's often your psyche alerting you to hidden hostility. Instead of dismissing your feelings, recognize them as valid data. Healthy relationships energize. They leave you feeling safe, valued, and understood. If someone consistently drains you, it's a powerful sign that negativity lies beneath the surface. By honoring that awareness, you can decide whether to set firmer boundaries, address the tension, or distance yourself to protect your inner balance. Carl Jung often reminded us that relationships are not simply social arrangements. They are profound mirrors of the psyche. The way others treat us, whether with warmth, indifference, or hostility, always reveals something about the inner world of both people involved. The signs we've explored, projection, passive aggression, envy, inconsistency, comparison, and emotional drain, are not random behaviors. They are expressions of the unconscious shadow at work. When someone secretly dislikes or even hates you, they rarely admit it openly. Instead, their hidden feelings leak out in subtle, indirect ways that Jung would describe as projections of unresolved conflict. But here is the crucial truth. Recognizing these signs does not mean labeling others as villains or immediately severing ties. Jung emphasized that unconscious behaviors often emerge from pain, insecurity, and fear rather than conscious cruelty. A sarcastic remark, a withheld compliment, or a dismissive attitude may feel like rejection, but they often point to the other person's struggles rather than your shortcomings. Their shadow is speaking through them. Awareness helps you see this distinction. When you recognize the patterns, you gain freedom. You are no longer trapped in confusion or self-doubt. Instead, you can respond consciously. That might mean setting clear boundaries to protect your peace. It might mean addressing the behavior directly, giving the other person an opportunity to reflect. Or in some cases, it might mean choosing distance, freeing yourself from relationships that drain your energy or erode your confidence. Awareness creates options, and options create empowerment. Jung would also urge us not to stop at observing others, but to look inward as well. If you notice shadows in the people around you, ask yourself, what parts of my own shadow remain unacknowledged? The irritation you feel, the criticism that stings, or the hostility you detect might sometimes reflect aspects of yourself that you have not yet made conscious. This does not excuse mistreatment, but it reminds us that projection is universal. We all carry a shadow, and the more we confront it within ourselves, the less we are controlled by it in our relationships. Ultimately, relationships flourish when built on authenticity, respect, and mutual support. Hidden resentment corrodes these foundations. But when you learn to read the subtle signs, whether it's a backhanded compliment, inconsistent warmth, or an atmosphere of emotional drain, you begin to see past the persona, the mask people wear. You see the truth beneath appearances. And with that vision comes clarity. Clarity allows you to stop doubting yourself. It allows you to protect your energy, to choose compassion without naivety, and to cultivate bonds that nourish your soul. Jung's wisdom reminds us that until the unconscious becomes conscious, it will control our lives, and we will call it fate. By recognizing the hidden shadows in others and in ourselves, we reclaim that control. In the end, awareness is the first step. Freedom is the second. And choosing relationships that truly uplift you is the path to a healthier, more authentic life.